We are live. Hello, hello, hello. It's Miss J in the building. Welcome back to Business Weekly, where today we're going to be diving into often overlooked world of business processes. Now, I've been on this operational tip now for a hot couple sesh. Had a great guest. I said that I was going to bring back, and I keep my word. She's on the way. But we're going to be talking about a different part of the operation that's going to block the profit leak. Now, a lot of people are making money and you're excited, you get this money, it's in your hand, you start counting what jets you're going to buy, what hotels you're staying, what five-star resorts. No, 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 no. Yeah, you're all over the place. But your inefficient processes are silently draining your company's bottom line. That's what we're going to be discussing today. For the next 45 minutes, we're going to be discussing the profit leak. Oop, I said lead, but it should say leak. How missing processes drain your bottom line. Hey, let me get my shout outs. Miss TG's in the building, Tires Vegan Cuisine. I like to shout out to all my regulars who come. They deserve the applause. Thank you for being a fan. I truly appreciate it. I want to welcome you to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, where we not only carry the shows, honey, we carry the tea, the gems, the milk, the butter, the honey, put it all together. Whatever your recipe is, whip it up, chef it in the kitchen, serve up, and grow. And today we're going to be revealing practical strategies to identify, fix, and prevent profit leaks. Because empowering your business to operate leaner and cleaner and more profitable is the way you want to go. Okay. So whether you're a startup, you're established, or you're an established enterprise, you've been in the business for a few years, you're doing your thing. Cool. Amazing. That's what we want you to be here. I want you to click and subscribe right here on YouTube. My girl, the sweet spot's in the building. How you doing, girl? Hey, girl. I want you to subscribe. I want you to click on that subscribe button. I want you to tell people that we're online and we're talking, especially your other business friends. Listen, we got to get better at telling our friends, show up, because this is where we're going to get the tea, honey, the real thing. It's a must listen for leaders who are committed to maximizing profitability. And if they don't want to make money, they should not be in your business network. Okay? So if you've done all of those things, then we can move forward because we have a robust discussion today. And you know who I'm bringing on to the show. I'm going to be bringing on our guest from last week, Miche. I've already renamed her. We've established that Miche will be the way she shall be introduced moving forward, henceforth. We know that Chrisanne is a multidisciplinary consultant who bridges the gap between business structure and creative expression. With a dual focus on operations, management, and creative direction, she helps small businesses and thought leaders bring clarity, cohesion, depth, and intentionality to both their internal systems and outward-facing work. In her creative direction work, Chrisanne partners with visionaries, creatives, and entrepreneurs to bring their ideas, frameworks, and lived experiences to life through ghostwriting, co-authoring, editing, book design, or learning design. I can't wait to get on board and be one of her clients for my upcoming book. Don't know the title, but it's going to be a good one. Yes, as long as my picture's on it, I'm happy. So whether publishing a book or creating a multimedia memoir or an immersive workshop series, she transforms personal narratives and big picture thinking into powerful, purposeful content. Her process blends emotional depth with practical strategy, balancing artistry and structure to create work that teaches, inspires, and connects. Do I need to say more? No, because we're going to have her right here on the show. Please welcome to the stage, Chrisanne Miche.
Hello.
Hey girl, hey, how you doing?
I laugh every time you say Miche.
Miche, honey, like Miche, honey. We know. Okay, listen, we're just gonna make a little alteration with the hair right now because this ear is strengthening me. And this is talk radio, so I can do this because nobody can see me. Kidding, come on. Well,
Oh,
last week
cute.
we uncovered pitfalls, right, of entrepreneurs that didn't see what was coming until they were over their heads, and that was the
Right.
chaos, right? Scaling chaos,
Mm-hmm.
which happens when you don't have the proper systems in place. Got a lot of great reviews from the show. A lot of questions came in, saying, "How do I recognize when I have chaos? And I thought that was a really good question. So,
Mm.
we're touching lives out there, honey. One
Okay,
viewer
that's
at a
good.
time. We're touching lives. Today, we're going to be
Mm.
talking about, right? Aren't we just winning as leaders? Okay. Today, I mean, it's giving. What is it giving, Stace? Stace is my giving like verbologist. Okay, so she's gonna put that up there soon. What it's giving, and then I will let you know what it is, and I'll say it in her voice. Um,
Okay.
so first, we want to start by defining what we mean by profit leaks, right? So I'm going to first kind of break that down for the audience, and then after we're going to kind of jump into a few pieces of questions. First, understanding what they are,
Mm.
and where the money is unintentionally lost. And I want you all to think about delays, redundancies, errors, or overlooked opportunities. I know that I'm using a new system now, and it's not really new anymore. I've been in it for a while, but I still have those operational challenges
Mm.
when the system starts doing its own thing, right? But a lot of pressing pause on the thought for our giving, it's giving everlasting life, honey. Yes, and in the name of Stacey Ann Miller, CEO of the Sweet Spa. Yes, honey, yeah. Okay, so that's what it's giving. Understand that now. So when we talk about the how profitability starts to get impacted, it's a subtle thing at first, right? We don't see it. You think it's just, oh, okay, I missed an invoice here. I, didn't set up the invoice there. It gives you the chills, right?
That's
It's just a yes,
yeah.
right? And they don't start to realize how their profits are bleeding because they're so focused on the sales figures. But the
Mhm.
inefficiency in those operations, such as a supply chain mishap or poor customer onboarding, can silently drain resources. Agree or disagree?
100%. 100%. 100%. Um, yeah, I think those little leaks. It's so interesting because like you're saying, the variety of things that can kind of cause that leak. I
Mm-hmm.
know one of the things I focus on is like missed opportunities, right? Um, but can't really focus on missed opportunities if the underlying structure is still a mess.
Facts. Chaos. I mean, in fact, they missed the whole opportunity of organizing the chaos. Right?
100,
Uh,
100%.
yeah, and then that, especially when it comes to your clients and your customers, because
Mm-hmm.
we are in the world of automation, we're in the world of AI, we're in the world of being more efficient, being more effective, and I love it. I honestly can say I am embracing this season with everything I have in my soul. Like, I get up to learn something new every day about AI now, because when I look at what my clients are doing in their businesses and the impact that they can be making, it's so phenomenal. It's so phenomenal, but we just need to insert those right systems for them. As you do your clients, insert those right systems so they can do that. But the one thing that people tend to not really take into account, I think, too quickly, is the customer onboarding component. And
100%.
yeah, and sometimes you think it's as simple as, well, just put it in the cart, buy it, and go. Or you want a session, a service-based business, you want a session, so just put it in my Calendly or whatever time app you're using,
Hmm.
and then you just got to show up. But there's just so much more around it that you're losing people in your processes without even thinking about it.
Yes. Definitely. So on that, I think one of the big things for me, and I tell people this all the time, as a matter of fact, I was having a conversation the other day, and I said, customer experience and trust are keys to many things, right? And you want to do everything possible to maintain those two things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can also do so many things to lose them.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about profit leaks and things of that nature, it's just like, you know, that experience with the customer in terms of, you know, that personal touch, especially now with everything being automated, it's kind of like, well, okay, you can't lose that touch,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
a lot of people do want that personal touch, but you
Yes.
also have to make sure, like, you build a system around that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you spend time in it, right? Because I think that's where I know, and I think I said this the last our last session. I'm very careful when it comes to those areas, so I don't take on more than I can handle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in that kind of push to earn more, sometimes people take on more, lose that experience, and you lose, you potentially might lose a client, right?
No, it's
Um,
true. Very true. You see that in uh, case in point, you get these big these books when you buy things, right? It's the it's the warranty, the guarantee, the this, the that, right? You're very right, Stacy. It's necessary to do many trial runs before live launching. Yes, yes. I too was her guinea pig for her massage, contouring, everything service, just to make sure it went right. Took one for the team. Got snatched my way through the process, but shout out to the sweet spa. Get your contour now. I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, no, she really, I mean, I'm going to really digress here, but she's hitting the nail on the head. She practiced. I remember her coming over, and I always like to either taste, touch, feel the service or product that they're doing so I can, look at how their systems are set up. And
mhm,
she did this amazing introduction. I felt so warm and tingly. She put on the eye covers and the music, and I was in la la land. And then she packed up and said, "I hope you enjoyed yourself," and went home. And I said, "Whoa, wait a minute.
mhm,
How are you? Where's my next appointment? Where's this? Where's that?" And she learned throughout that, and now she has a phenomenal customer
system,
client
yeah,
system where she's now making sure she's not losing people in the shuffle, right? Because sometimes that happens, especially with newbies in business or people who are just getting their sales off the ground. They get so focused on, I made a sale, I made a sale, I made a sale, and they're so excited. But then the real
mhm,
question happens is, well, what's the system for them to buy, repeat that purchase? Or what's
mhm,
that system for them to join your brand community? And
right,
that's where a lot of people tend to lose the onboarding system because they don't realize that you're trying to keep them on and keep them coming back.
mhm,
Right? I mean, Costco is
yeah,
a great onboarding system. They get you this membership. They give you all these perks. The gas, you're going to get reduced on pricing on bulk
mhm,
items or whatever the case is. And if you notice, they always switch things around, especially the clothing, the books, the socks, the underwear. Like that little area always gets switched up with new something to bring them back. So you already bought the sweater, come back and buy the pants next week, and the week after
mhm,
that buy the socks to match the pants, right? So they have a whole system and strategy on customer onboarding. It doesn't always look the same for everyone, but
no,
that's the system.
yes,
Shout out to
agreed.
Capture by Shani. I see you in the building. I see you in the building. Now let's talk a little bit about what are some of the common signs or of missing or flawed processes. How do you recognize these profit leaks? What signs should a business owner be looking for?
So I would say probably the first one on my list is, I want to say, unintended gaps in responsiveness.
Mm,
And I want to say that my context is coming from, a service business. So if somebody does contact you and things of that nature, um, but those unintended gaps, people are unresponsive for different reasons. But when you are not responsive, you don't have a follow up email or call, or you don't have that follow up process. Um, People, especially if you're new to them, they're worrying about, again, I go back to customer service and trust. People are
mhm,
wondering if they can trust you, right?
mhm,
How can you really put trust in somebody who is not responsive to you? And I even relate this back to, relationships. Just like, let's look outside the products for a moment.
mhm,
When we feel like, people are not responsive, people don't want to have conversations, those things break trust down. So how can you not expect that to also break down, or mess up a customer
Mhm.
relationship in the process. Um, and
Well,
I give
you're not even stepping away from product. Trust is a product of a good relationship.
hundred
Love is
percent,
a product of a good relationship. Communication
hundred
is a
percent.
product of a good relationship. So you're 100% right. You know,
Yeah,
we need to
yeah,
see those correlations between careers, home, finances, parenting, business. They're all the same skill sets,
yes,
right? Like if
yes.
you don't onboard properly, you may not have a man for the long haul.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, oh,
Let's just be real here
oh,
on the business.
girl,
Business Weekly is about the
oh,
business,
girl.
honey. Okay. If you're just jumping in, welcome to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. You're sitting and vibing with your girl, Christian, Miche, and myself. Yeah, the Sweet Spot says facts, facts, and more facts. Yes, gaps leave room for missed opportunities and money. Yes, honey, if you ain't taking care of your situation at home, honey, you are missing these opportunities. Okay. But if you are just tuning in, welcome to Business Weekly with your girl, Miss J, your hostess with the mostest, your drip strategist, and your boss methodologist. What we do here is we break down the conversations that you don't hear quite often, but they are the keys to building a successful business. And so each week I try to bring on some subject matter experts or people who just understand the flex. And we vibe for about 45 minutes. And today we're talking about the profit leak, ways to stop losing money in your business. So I hope you're taking notes. If you are just tuning in, feel free to come back right after and hit the beginning. We've already talked about what business owners need to be, or understanding what profit leaks are and what business owners should be seeing as red flags in their business. So that's what we're talking about now. I
Mhm.
think one of the things that
And
I feel is to bring us back to what you're saying is that when you said that inconsistency or unintentional gaps,
mhm,
that usually is caused by frequent bottlenecks. Like a lot of
100%.
times people get, I always say, build your company for the 1,000, not the one. Build it for 1 million if you're serving 1,000. Build it for 5 million if you're doing 1 million. Why? Because when you build a system that will help you reach a higher level in terms of taking on sales, you're not bottlenecking your own company. I've watched
Mhm,
people who had a massive turnout and their systems were so bad that they couldn't serve all, how much money walked out that door because they couldn't get
mhm.
the food to the pass fast enough because they didn't have an internal system of how they were preparing the food. And so things like that are considered bottlenecks. And when you don't have the way to resolve those bottlenecks, then you're literally just telling people, I don't need you shopping with my business. That's what you're telling people. Like I
Yep.
cannot serve you the
And
way it is.
and you're missing with the customer service experience. People will go and find someone else who can give them better customer service,
100%. 100%.
right?
How you treat others is how you want to be treated. Right. So
Exactly.
if you're gonna, like, if we walked into a store and we felt disrespected, or if we weren't feeling that the service was good, we would turn around and walk out. I don't understand why sometimes business owners or entrepreneurs feel like people should be waiting on them hand and foot
Hmm.
for their business.
Hmm.
And it's like they're doing you a favor. They're putting money in your pocket. So
Exactly.
whether it's 99 cents or it's $99 or 99,000, you better get your act right,
Hundred
because
percent.
right, they're spending their money.
Exactly. And that moves into my next point, which is I say gaps in execution. Who
Mm-hmm.
wants to work with somebody who can't deliver, right?
Facts and facts.
Who can't deliver on time, or can't explain why, something is going to take a longer time than necessary. And I do believe that there are just certain things that take time. And I think, especially in our society, when we expect things to happen so quickly, no, there are certain processes that take time. If you want to scale your business, you're not going to do it in one day. You might not even do it in 6 months, right? Because again, you move too fast. I know that, there's this thing out there. I won't repeat where it's from, but you move fast and you break things. Why do you want to take that risk? Especially, I want to say, even for, small businesses. And when we talk about small businesses, I mean businesses in general, but especially as a small business, whether it's just you or it's 100 employees, um, why do you want to break things, right? Because you're
Mhm.
compromising yourself. So in that you can't execute on time, you can't explain to someone why, you know, you need to execute later. um so that's another thing. I think another thing I look at is rushing.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, in a case where if I'm doing a service for a particular person and now they want to rush it, and there are cases when, you know, you want a rushed, like you need it by a certain time. But
Mm-hmm.
what it says to me on my end that there was lack, generally, not all the time, but sometimes there's lack of planning, right?
Oh, girl, that's all the time.
Lack of organization,
Yeah,
right?
that's
When
all
you
the
have
time.
to
Mm-hmm.
rush a certain thing or you require certain things to be rushed or you're rushing someone into a purchase. And I get, yes, you know, there is a level of emergency or urgency towards certain things, but again, it's, for me anyways, when I see that I'm like, what's going on in the
Well,
background,
some
why,
exactly. Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I was telling somebody
And
the other day, I said, when people speak too fast, you tend to stop and say, hold on, what am I missing
what's
here?
going on?
Why are
Yeah,
you
yeah,
talking? Why are you talking that fast? Right? Well, like, what you
yeah.
trying to tell me? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely, something to highlight. And I think, there's always that planning. I think there's a lot of times that people understand blueprints is a way of business, just like it's a way of life. To me, try that again. Blueprinting is a way of life, because if you don't have a blueprint for the routine you have at home, or the blueprint for the way you're saving your money to reach your goals, or blueprint for your business, without a blueprint, you just really don't have a foundation. Without a foundation, you don't have a house. If you don't have a house, you don't have a roof. Like, it all
Exactly.
kind of builds up. And that's where the error rates come in. Those high error rates is because how much times can you say sorry? Like, how much times can I tell my clients, I'm so sorry that invoice didn't come through again, or I'm sorry
Yeah.
that the thing is spitting out, but if I'm addressing it to your point, is if it's going to cause an inconvenience, I'm on, hey, this is happening, just letting you know, we're working through it, whatever the case may be. And sometimes it's tiring to have to track every person and everything and make sure that every automation or every process works, but that's the name of the game, right? Because you want to
Hmm.
reduce customer complaints. The more people complaining, the
Exactly.
margins are shrinking, right?
And people will talk about you. And again, you're now messing with customer trust and the customer experience. And
Yes.
once you start to mess with that, you will lose profit. Unless you are in an extremely niche business where that person needs what you have, we are in a market that there's more than one provider. People will move,
Thousand
you know,
percent. I mean, now at
right?
this point, if you don't want to make me roti, Uber can, Skip will. You know what I'm saying? If I'm trying to get my crunch on, it's there. It's
Mm-hmm.
there. I think that leads
And
into
you,
our third area that we want people to realize: the impact of missing processes on profitability. So the question that we're putting out to you out there too is, can missing processes really make a difference in my bottom line? Now, for people who have consistent business, they think, it's one or two people, they'll get over it, they'll be back or whatever. But the question is, yes, yes, it can.
mhm, mhm.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
Mm,
What are your thoughts?
I think so, but my first thing is, why do you want to put yourself in that position to, like, look, everybody won't be pleased with everything. Acknowledge that right out the gate. But I
Yes.
think, why would you purposely want to put yourself in a position where somebody actively doesn't want to work with you, right?
Yeah.
We all have reasons that don't involve customer trust and service that people might not work with us, right? You have different styles in terms of the way you want to do things. Like those, in terms of the products that you buy, you might like this product versus that product. Okay. But I think that you don't want to put yourself in a position to have people say, I don't want to work with this person.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't want to buy this product because of this business. Like we've seen how, over the last couple of years, how people will lose a whole customer base because
Mm-hmm.
of a particular stance, right?
Yeah.
Um, so
Big oil. I had to. I
I
mean,
just,
there's still fans there, I'm sure, but
but
talk about they are
I don't
close.
think it's, no, I just don't think it's, especially when it's something under your control, like reliability, consistency. Um, so I just don't think it's healthy for a business. And that I want to say that callousness towards, the one or two customers that you're going to lose. And again, remember, there are different factors, but if it's a case of you're counting them out with regards to, and it's things that you can control about your business, who knows, you might take that callousness or that, I want to say, overconfidence into certain
Well, when
areas of your
times are good,
business,
especially when times are
right?
good, I think that's when a lot of business owners they lose sight and they lose focus. They see the
Hmm.
money coming in. I've made all these sales. I sold this much. I sold this much, and that's really cool. And then you don't
Hmm.
even start realizing the sales are starting to decline because there's always a sale. It's almost like a dopamine hit. You see money or you see a sale pop up on your screen and you just get excited. You don't even care if it's one. You get excited with it. When I think about standard procedures, if you're missing those, you're to your point about customer service. I'm going to kind of pull it over now to the operational side. Is the
Hmm.
duplicated efforts? You're doing the same thing over and over again, and you don't even
Hmm.
realize you maybe made a template for that 5 weeks ago,
Hmm.
or you're looking at deadlines. And to your point, people are either rushing deadlines or missing deadlines. And a lot of the
Hmm.
missing deadlines comes from 100% planning, time management, organization, prioritization, change management. I can go all day when it comes to skills, right? Because that's where when I talk about building your knowledge, skill, and capacity, I don't say that lightly. I say that because that's a way of life in business. Like you have to understand quality comes from the expertise you have, how you want to serve people, and how you plan to do it. Because
Hmm.
if not, all of these little missed things are reducing your profit little by little. Think of the things you have to fix, right? If
Hmm.
you made $25 on a sale in profit, but you didn't have a proper invoice, a proper thank you system, or you didn't put instructions in the product you sold, you now have to take it back. And now your shipping is eating out all your money because you got to take it back. Right? So you're leaving money on the table every day if your standard procedures are missing, a strong foundation.
Um, and those things, and maybe this might move into, some things that we've also covered, but I think those standard procedures, I've found that when talking to different business owners, they don't think it's as important as it is, right?
Oh yeah,
um,
100%.
and putting it in, and it also takes quite a bit of time to implement those things, because um, I would say from my perspective, putting on my technical writer hat, you know, I want to make sure I like to look at things from a very intuitive perspective. Like, okay,
Mhm.
so we have this idea of this is what we're technically supposed to do, but what are people doing? So
Mhm.
these processes need to actually be recorded because you need to see where you are to figure out, okay, should we continue this way? Or is this intuitive way a better way? And maybe we have it on record
Mhm.
for, whomever else is within the business and working that particular role, right?
Yes.
And having it accessible to everybody, different procedures, different policies. You want those things in place so that, one, your business looks competent, your staff looks competent, you have a competent process to handle not just customers, but everything, your systems, your software, these things. And that overall kind of smooths out the process. But
Mhm.
I find there are people who just understand the vision and they're like, I need to get this done, right? And then there are other people who are like, I don't really need to do it. But once you start prioritizing the growth of
Hmm.
of the business, you will be forced to look at this because you're not going to grow and grow well. And it
Yes.
doesn't necessarily mean like, getting bigger, but growing different depends on where you want to go with your business. But you're not going to grow and grow well when you disregard your processes and procedures.
1,000%. So how, let's talk about now how to identify and map your business processes. If you're just coming in, welcome to Love the Afrobeat Music Talk Radio with your hostess, the mostest, Miss J. We're here with Chris and Miche. We're talking about the profit leak, and today we're talking about how you like that name. I know you like it. I know you go around telling people your name is Miche. Don't even front. You're welcome. Hashtag gave you some wings. Bye. If you're coming in, we're talking about profits and how people are losing and leaking their profits. Why? Because they don't have good systems and processes in place. Now, I'm always going to repeat this. This is a topic not many people talk about. You're going to go on and they're going to tell you how to scale 10x and how to get all these people to follow you on Instagram and all of these great things. And these are all needed. But the conversations that are not being had, and especially in our Black business communities, is the power of a good system, the power of a good process. So we've kind of covered some topics as what are things you should be looking for. Now we're going to talk about how to identify and map your business processes, right? And first thing you want to start is using your key processes for sales, onboarding, fulfillment, and Chris Ann's favorite topic, customer service. Okay. Those are four key things. And you can do things like flow charts. Ask yourself, do I have templates, flow charts? Do I have data? What are my data, my KPIs that I put benchmark my company's progress and growth? Because those are the things that you pinpoint when you're looking to scale, when you're looking to borrow. Where are the delays? Where are the redundancies occurring? How much times do I audit my business and not my business per se, but my systems, right? Sometimes people get
Mm-hmm.
so hooked and linked on the product, like they're editing the product day in and day out. And I'm all for it until it's like, when are you going to actually sell the damn product? Right.
Yep.
So, you have to, you got to put that into perspective, right? And my
Yep.
clients, they love doing what they do. And I love the fact that they love doing what they do. But there at a certain point, you got to put it out there and see if the people that you anticipated loving what you do
I
actually
actually
love
love what you do.
what you do.
Listen, and I'm gonna take this back. I analysis, audits, feedback loops often, and it, I've had I've had to say no to certain clients or stand on business where they have certain ideas and they want to do them, and I'm like, I need to do an analysis first. I
Mhm.
don't I'm not going to now provide you something based on knowledge I do not have.
Facts.
And I think a lot of the time, what actually happens is that, you have all these big ideas. And like you said, you have this product and you want to do these things and you don't know where you are, right? It's like a map,
Yes.
right? You're saying, I want to get to this place, but you have no clue where you're located. So you have no directions to get to the place that you say that you want to get to, right? And people will say, "Oh, it's not necessary," or
Exactly.
I have turned down business because I'm just like, I don't. When it comes to editing a book, when it comes to actually doing operations or implementing operations for a business owner, I don't. I literally start with an analysis. We need to know, okay, where do you want to go? We need
Yeah.
to know where you are, right? And how are you going to see the inefficiencies? How are you going to see the areas to improve? How are you going to, you know, come up with these solutions, right? You can't just say, I want to do this and it's going to work. And
Mhm.
this kind of goes back to, that whole lack of planning, right? Lack
Yeah.
of planning and organization. I'm not the person to say, hey, we can't do this, but I am the person to say, let's lay everything out on the table and see how we can
It's
do
supposed
that.
to be done.
And
Exactly.
and I think that is the essence of processes, right? How can we do this and how can we do this in the right way that is efficient for your business, again, maintains the trust and customer service and continues to make you profit. So um, those particular things I think are huge, and we can't be so scared of negative feedback or outcomes that we forget to plan for them. So I'm going to throw two other things in there, which is risk management.
Man,
Risk
so they can
management.
hear it in the back.
Oh, Lord. Risk
Risk
management. And
management.
people might not see that as a profit leak, but you can, and this is not
Oh
me
my
trying
God.
to be,
That's the sad part. It's the biggest one. Like it's
you can be as
massive.
hopeful as you want, and nobody is saying anything against hope. But in
But forget
order
hope.
to keep the dream alive, you
Forget hope.
have to know where it can go wrong,
Yes.
right? And then you have to plan for things to either mitigate it going wrong or plan for things when it goes wrong.
Well, let's put that
There's
in English for the people. What she's saying is, people, let me translate the Miche. Is if it's fixed broke and you can't fix it, you broke. Get it? If it's broke and you can't fix it, you broke because they're coming for your money. They're coming for your house. They're coming for your kid. They're coming for everything. There are people out there who are ruthless to the cause and are rightfully so.
Mhm.
Put yourself in that position. You went to a doctor and they gave you the wrong prognosis, give you the wrong medicine. You're ready to sue hospital, their mom, their dad, their aunt, their uncle, their cousin, their best friend. You're ready to take down the world because they did you wrong. Why are you any more different or special when it comes to your products and services? That's why I said,
True.
listen, if you're in a coach, don't coach. I'm dead serious. That's my. If you're not a coach, don't. If you're not a certified expert in something like coaching, therapy, psychology, book writing, I don't care what it is. If you're not a coach, don't coach because you go tell somebody the wrong thing based on what you did.
Mhm.
Oh, I colored my hair with baking soda and mushrooms. Might work for your jungle hair, but not necessarily for everybody else's. And then when that goes wrong, who do you think they're coming back for?
They're gonna come for
You.
you.
They're
They're gonna come
coming
for you.
for you. So risk management is huge. In the blueprint, there's a part in the business plan where it asks you who's your team, your advisory team, and that's where you need to be filling in your lawyer. You need to have some kind of go-to for your advisory, for business coaching, for accounting. There's a reason why, because these things are essential to protect you and your business. So when I hear, oh, I'm not going to do that now, or I don't really want to, I'm going to save on not paying for those types of expenses. You might be saving your little couple $100, but when you're shelling out millions and you have no business insurance, you have no liability insurance, you have no waiver forms, that's a show unto itself, understanding the power of risk management, because I think so many business owners are quick to put their money in inventory, but not so quick to put their money in risk management tools.
And I think that speaks to the kind of, I want to say it's the unpretty things. If we think about,
Mhm.
we have a home and we're building a home, and the structure, you can't really see the structure, right? But we know that if the structure is faulty, the house will
Yeah.
crumble, something will happen. And it's nice, I love design.
Mhm.
So it's nice to spend time on the paint colors and the materials and the furniture, and that's the exciting stuff. for some people. But that structure is incredibly important. And I find that, um, you know, because businesses are just trying to survive, they put money into other areas instead of, putting it into an area that is being proactive because they don't see anything happening yet.
That's
Right?
it. Because it's so safe. It's so amazing. I made it. Okay, sure, got it. Go get insurance. Go get insurance. The first thing I say is,
Mhm.
how are you handling things when they go wrong? Because we never create or intend to have something go wrong, but we're also imperfect human beings. We all have limited knowledge. You can know something and still not know everyone, right? So you might have, especially products that you apply to skin internally, right? There's a reason why a lot of things aren't on the shelf because it has to be tried, tested, and made sure it doesn't kill anybody, and no small business owner is immune
No.
from legal action. No small business owner is immune because they didn't know. That's your job to know,
Mm.
right? So if you don't know what you don't know, then you better hurry up and figure out what you don't know so you can know what you don't know.
And
Repeat
I
that
think it
10
goes
times. Somebody put that in the chat 10 times. Let me hear you.
and I think it goes back to one thing that we mentioned the last session too about delegating, right? I
Yes.
think we need to be we're okay, it's fine, we can DIY certain things, but there's certain information that you will need to outsource to somebody who knows the area better than you, and you
Yeah.
will need to pay them for it. And that is not a
Yes.
lost or a drain on your business. That is actually helping the foundation stand strong.
1,000%. So you heard you guys have to hire us because we're giving you guys all amazing reasons why you need to hire us. Call your girls. And that leads into our last point around the practical strategies. So we talked about how to identify. If you're just coming in, welcome, welcome, welcome to Love Bay Talk Radio. Chrisanne and I, your girl Miss J, we're over here talking about systems and processes that are impacting businesses. Today, we're really focusing on the profit leak. We have had some really good session. We started with how to understand what a profit leak looks like. We talked about some of the common signs of missing or flawed processes. We talked about the impact of missing processes on profitability. And we also just discussed how to identify and map your business process. And so now we're closing off with how to fix these missing processes through some practical strategies. And so if you need to or want, please hit the replay, catch it from the top, start to really use these shows to help you fuel the conversation with the people that you need to be fueling and with yourself.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurs, sit down with yourself every day at the end of the day and reflect on what went right, what went wrong. Use the SWOT, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What is going on in my business from day to day? Don't get hooked up on what's happening tomorrow until you know what needs to happen today. So some of the things that we're going to strategically, well, I'm going to strategically share, and Chrisanne will share hers. But for me, it's standardizing your document procedures. How many of you actually have an operating guide for your business? How many of you know what tasks are repetitive? And if they're repetitive, you can automate those things. How are you training your team if you have one? Whether your team is a bunch of volunteers, interns, or paid, or they are contractors, they all are part of your team. And so, how are you training them to endorse your business? These are things I'm throwing at you. I want you to think about it. If you have something you want to share, please feel free to throw it in the chat. What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna stick to mine. Make sure you do an analysis and you do an audit often.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think, and there's different type of analyses, but I would stick to the idea of getting those things done often. Oftentimes, it's like we see them as a waste of time. No, they help you to know where you are. You can't plan for a solution if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know where you are.
Problem, yeah.
Um, Purposely creating feedback loops. And I will say this, and don't hate me. Um, Oftentimes in a business, we are afraid of having other people, whether it be customers, whether it be staff, whether it be contractors, whether it be clients, point out where you could improve. No,
Mhm.
they're actually helping you improve your business. And that's not
Or
something
their
to be
experience,
ashamed.
right?
Exactly.
Or their user
Exactly.
experience. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. And that's not, there's nothing to be ashamed of that. Feedback loops, A/B testing. Sometimes, clients will do different things and be like, oh, I have to waste money and create this. I'm like, no, you're testing to see what works. Does this work better? Does A work
Mhm.
better or does B work better?
Mhm.
We figure out why they work better. Then you choose one and you keep moving forward. Create feedback loops in every part of your business
Yeah,
so that you can actually improve your systems and your services.
1,000%.
Um, and again, I'm going to harp back on the risk management plan. Create a risk management plan for everything. I think sometimes we look at that and we hear the word risk. And for a lot of us, that might be, scared of that word.
Mhm.
Um, we want to avoid things. And I find this avoidance is pretty big. But
That's a whole topic onto itself.
yeah,
Mhm.
but outlining where things could go wrong and then coming up with the different solutions to mitigate like those things, although you might not see it's a product of being proactive, right?
100%.
You don't want to know that your roof cannot stand the hurricane
And I think
until
that's,
the hurricane
yeah,
comes,
exactly. And I
right?
think that's what people have to remember. And we're going to start to wrap up. But
Mhm.
people have to remember that the things that you use on a day-to-day basis, your car, when you go visit families across across the land or the sea, you're in a plane, when you're taking your kids to school, you're leaving them in a building that's built by somebody or a group of people. When you go to purchase land to build something, again, somebody else is building your home. Could you imagine if they had no risk management plan? Could you imagine if these people never thought about what if the car hit a wall or a tree or somebody hit another car? How would the people inside be protected? That's risk management. So I'm going to simplify it for you. Risk management is simply ensuring that you are looking at anything that can possibly go wrong with your product or service and putting a plan into place that if it tends to go wrong, you have something. And risk management doesn't have to be as serious as death or injury.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just as simple as you didn't meet a deadline, you didn't meet something for a client, and they're now questioning your ability, right? So those are the types of things. I want to thank you. I would wish we can go on here all night because we know we are, but there will be a part 3. We're going to be talking with Chrisanne again because there was so much. I had to break this down into parts because we really wanted to take time to help people to understand. Thank you, Chrisanne. I'll catch you in the green room in a minute. I'm just going to close out the show. Say goodbye to the people. Follow Chrisanne on Chrisanne Miche, ChriSanne, Miche. If we can get the screen up, you can also see, just point your phone and click here. You can follow her on the QR code and follow her on Instagram. Thanks, Chrisanne. I'll leave this up while
Thank you
I'm
for
talking.
having me.
Yeah, of course, girl. You part of the Love Bay family now. So, another powerful, powerful conversation. Make sure you hit that or scan it. If you found today's episode helpful, share it with another entrepreneur. We can only become stronger economically, through business growth, through drive, resilience, innovation, and progression if we are spreading the right information instead of spreading information that makes absolutely no sense to a lot of entrepreneurs. Make sure you're subscribing to Business Weekly on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio on YouTube. If you're listening on Facebook, hit the subscribe button, join the group, follow your girl at Empire by Design _ on IG. If you are looking to the how, so we talk a lot about the strategies, but we're not expecting all business owners to understand those strategies like on their own. So I want you to dig in, call us, let us know where you need the help. I'm always open to taking your blueprint to the next level. Remember, identifying and fixing missing or inefficient processes isn't a one-time task. It's an ongoing imperative to safeguard and grow your bottom line. And that's why we're doing this, honey. We're doing this for the money, honey. Okay, so until next time, join me each week right here, 7 p.m. on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio with your girl, Miss J. Be proactive, stay vigilant, and keep your profits flowing. And as always, keep your head in the skies, spread your wings, and let's fly. We'll talk to you later and enjoy the next show. Safe Space is on next at 8 o'clock p.m.